Hi everyone, the Random Home Cook here. Today I will prepare a dessert, a sweet treat of my childhood, which I still enjoy, the chocolate pudding, a favorite of the family. It is quite quick to prepare, although it requires a little attention to avoid lumps and make it very smooth. After a quick search on the internet, it seems that most first hit recipes for chocolate pudding use butter, most likely to provide an egg-free alternative. However, this is the recipe that I always have and probably will have, and it contains eggs, and therefore not suitable who is allergic to eggs, milk and other ingredients. The ingredients are just 5 and listed in order of appearance: 2 egg yolks, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of bitter cocoa powder and 500 milliliters of milk. But let's get cooking. I put 2 eggs yolk in a pot. From now onwards refer just as eggs and no fire yet. I can do this watching TV, this video, on a kitchen worktop, but today it was easy to show it here on the hob. But of course, at this stage there's no hob. The hob is off. I normally save the egg whites for meringue and other preparations. If you want to see how I make those, let me know in the comments. Using a whisk, I start to beat the eggs and the sugar. I normally beat them until the volume increase of about 2-3 times. The sugar is mostly dissolved and the color turns to a bright yellow. This video is almost in real time and it takes about 10 to 12 minutes to make the pudding using these quantities. Once I'm happy with the result, I add the flour. I normally do this in the kitchen because the dust can go everywhere. In the description below, I included the ingredients quantities measured in gram, but it's just an indication. It takes a little while to mix all together, but it is important to avoid any lump. I incorporate well, cocoa powder as well. At this point, the mix might be too dry due to the egg size, or if my standard spoon was on a bigger size. I can add a little, very little of milk from the 500 milliliters I have ready for the next step. Once it is a nice paste, all homogeneous and without lumps, I add gently, drop by drop, the milk to avoid lumps, and I keep mixing and adding until the butter is loose enough that I can add the entire amount of milk left all at once. These are the quantities that I normally use for about 4 to 5 portions, but it depends on how generous and big are the containers that I use and how thick I want the result to be. This recipe can be easily scaled up by adding more of the ingredients in the right proportion. By standard tablespoon, I mean any tablespoons that I have available, and I use the same to measure each ingredient. Once the mix is loose enough, I can add more and more milk until I just add all of it. Now a little random thought while I finish mixing. The quantities of sugar and cocoa will make these more or less sweet and more or less dark. I normally go for a tad more dark than sweet as a personal preference. I tend to add not too much flour, otherwise it might become slightly too starchy. To reach the consistency I like, I started using a little less flour until the final result was of my liking. I like mine firm but soft, so 2 level-ish tablespoons are perfect for my taste. Now I move it on a medium fire hob or normal fire if I am in a rush. Using a medium fire lengthens the process but reduces drastically the risk of burning the pudding or lump creation, and although stirring continuously is a strong advice, with a medium fire it is more forgiving. This is also the main step in which if I start, I cannot stop. The mix needs to be continuously agitated and stirred. I stir very well and move the whisk everywhere in the pot, bottom, center, side, rims, everywhere. If lumps appear, I stir vigorously. Once it starts thickening, I wait until it starts bubbling, and I let it bubble for 30 seconds to a minute or so, depending on how thick I want the final product. Once ready, I can pour it in a pre-prepared cups. I'm using glass cups, and for the best result, I put a little water into them and discard it straight away. These slightly wet the surface of the cups and will prevent the pudding to stick on the glass. This step is not mission critical, but it is quite handy. In those cases, I want to flip over the content of these cups into a dish or plate, but I'm normally eating it from the cups, so that's okay. Once cold, I move the cups into the fridge, cover them with some cling film. Some people do not like to have a tiny little soft crust forming on the top. I actually do like it a lot. However, putting a cling film, touching the pudding immediately after pouring into the cup, doesn't allow the crust to form. I don't do this because, as I said, I like a bit of crust. Once it is cold and set, this is the end result. Nice and jiggly, smooth and sweet, chocolatey, very comforting. It is a nice end of meal dessert. It can be a snack in the middle of the afternoon, and it can actually be a great breakfast. Although I don't like stone cold breakfast, so I normally take it out from the fridge 1 or 2 hours before to just get to room temperature. It still maintains its firmness, and it is an ideal great food for starting the day. If you like this video and you would like to see more, please consider clicking subscribe and press the notification bell. Thank you for watching.